Now it's going to always try to like hold the gears, the simulated gears. So here we are, SM1, it automatically upshifted, SM2, 3, there's 16, and back off. So it's not that slow. Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. And I'm going to tell you why this is one of the best subcompact luxury SUVs on the market today. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell, subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, this is the 2025 Acura ADX. Now, for Acura, they didn't have an SUV of this size until now. They always had the RDX, the MDX, eventually going to the ZDX, their full electric SUV, but nothing in this kind of subcompact, smaller size SUV until the launch of the ADX. And now it kind of sits besides the Integra, right? So that's Acura's entry sedan. This is their entry SUV. And there's a lot of similarities in the Integra as far as styling and feature content, but there's also a lot of unique things to the ADX that truly help make it stand out. So if we talk about the pricing of ADX, it has a pretty big range, right? It can actually start at just $35,000 MSRP, right? But as you start to make your way up the different trims, maybe adding some premium paint and things like that, the price can go up pretty high. But this one here is fully loaded. It's the A-Spec Advance, and the MSRP is $44,000. Now, again, it doesn't include the paint and destination and handling, things like that. But for $44,000, less than 50 for sure, you get a really premium subcompact SUV. Now, let's talk about the paint on this car here. It's actually painted in Acura's Urban Gray Pearl. It's a really pretty color. It's a kind of a slate gray, but it has a lot of yellow flake in there, and it really shines and pops under the sun like today. So we'll show you that, here in a little bit more detail. So next, let's go ahead and do a full exterior walk around of this Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. All right, guys, here we are with the exterior of the Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. And like I said, it's painted in this urban gray pearl paint. It's a really pretty color. Like, there's a lot of yellow flake to it here, so it definitely pops here under the sun. And now we're going to talk about the full exterior design. Like I said in the intro, this is Acura's first subcompact SUV, and they really did a good job of kind of grafting in their styling design onto this subcompact SUV. So let's go ahead. Here you can see, man, just look at that yellow there popping. That's not just because the sun, that's the actual flake in the paint popping out. But here you can see it does have kind of Acura's very sharp, character lines, here on the hood. A lot of surfacing there. You got that center line coming down the hood, and the way that the fenders kind of bulge out from the hood is kind of really sporty and aggressive as well. This one has kind of a new take on Acura's headlights. It does have this kind of what they call chicane DRL, daytime running light, that kind of check mark design there, but it doesn't really have that kind of jewel eye LED headlight. It has instead one large kind of LED projector beam there. And then if you look closely, there is some nice detailing, right, where it says Acura actually in the headlight as well. As we make our way to the front of the vehicle here, you can see it does have Acura's latest design language, has what they call the diamond pentagon grille, right? So, it has that very, very large opening there with the Acura caliper dead center. And if we kind of zoom in, you can also see, again, with this being the top trim, it does have some extra features in there. So like under that Acura caliper, you do have a full 360 surround view camera system, so you can see the camera mounted underneath the A caliper there. And you can also see that it has 4 parking sensors. There are actually 2 on the outside areas here of the diamond pentagon grille, and then 2 more down in the front fascia. So again, I'll take a step back. You can see this particular car here actually has a couple of dealer installed accessories. So let me point those out to you as we go to the lower part of the front fascia. So here you can see on this top trim, it does have those LED fog lights down below. But what's unique in these dealer installed accessories are this kind of like extension of the front lip. So this part here, you can kind of see the cut line there. That's actually a front spoiler that you can get added to the car. And without it, it looks good, but adding it definitely gives it a little bit of extra flair. And one other thing to point out is down here, this center lip, you notice it's actually this kind of like silverish color, and that'll be true no matter what exterior color you get on your ADX. And if we really look down low, you can see some openings there for the intercooler of this turbocharged engine, which we'll cover here in the powertrain. So if we make our way to the side, let's just go ahead and take in the entire side profile, guys, so you can see the overall shape. Again, this SUV is significantly smaller than the RDX, which is obviously smaller than the MDX. So now you've kind of got like a small, medium, large size SUV for Acura. And depending on really which one you want, is going to fit your size. This is obviously a 2-row SUV, 5-passenger vehicle. So if you want something bigger in size, you go to the RDX. And if you want a 3-row SUV, you got to jump all the way to the MDX. But here we are on the side. You can see this does have the A-Spec badging, like all the A-Spec Acuras out there. It does have this kind of black cladding over the the wheel wells here. And then on this Acura ADX A-Spec Advance, you get these nice 19-inch Berlina black wheels with those black lug nuts. All that comes as part of this top trim. And then these are 235 45 R19 Continental all-season tires here. So plenty good for day-to-day, city driving, while also returning pretty good fuel economy as well. You do have these black mirror caps, LED turn signals nicely integrated there. And on this top trim, these are actually power folding mirrors as well. Have the black window treatment, again, as part of that A-Spec package, the lower black cladding, back to the wheel well here as well. Same wheel and tire setup there, so I won't cover that. But let's start to make our way to the rear of the ADX, which I think looks really unique. So it has this really nicely integrated spoiler at the top of the tailgate here. You can see it's very aggressive, has this kind of like wing design to it, but I think that looks really good, and its body color too, which really helps to blend in. And it has kind of a rakish, rear windshield here that just, really shows the kind of sporty intentions. Also, you can see these full LED tail lights with that same kind of chicane, design that you get in the front headlights. Those look really premium at night. And if we take in the full view of the rear here, man, it has a very nice profile. Those LED lights meet the Acura caliper there in the middle, A-Spec badging off to the left, ADX off to the right with AWD all-wheel drive down on the lower right. So you can see it also has a rear view camera as part of that 360 system. And you still get 4 rear parking sensors as well. Now, if we go all the way to the bottom, you can see there's these 2 large exhaust stuff to the sides. That looks really nice. And you also get this kind of rear diffuser. Now, this top piece is painted in this almost like silver finish. And then the lower part with the ribs there is actually a gloss black design. So you can see here one other dealer installed accessory is this little piece off to the side. So it's really like a front and rear lip kit that was added to this particular vehicle. So with that, I think we've covered everything on the exterior of this Acura ADX. So next, let's go ahead to hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. And at this top trim, this is a really nice place to be. There are a lot of premium touch points, materials, and really depending on the interior color that you get, it really helps to elevate the ADX, right? So, I actually have a review of an ADX A-Spec Advance here on the channel. That was right when the car came out at the Media Drive event. That particular car had Acura's orchid interior, this kind of off-white interior, and it really had this kind of bold, blue inserts into the seat. So very like modern and premium, but yeah, maybe not everybody wants a white interior or the blue accent. So this is actually the red interior, right? And for me, again, I have a white on red car myself. This red interior looks really good on the ADX, and the red is not overpowering, but there's a lot of it, right? It's everywhere. It's on the top of the dash here, and what's nice is there's actually this like contrast stitching in red that carries across the dash, both on this side and even over here on the driver's side as well. It's all over the doors, really soft premium leather. You also get this kind of like suede like material below that. And that carries over to the seats as well. The seats are really comfortable in this vehicle. A lot of support on the side bolsters, even the hip bolsters. The headrests are really comfortable. And that red material carries here as well. So you get the contrast stitching uh, all the way down the seats. You've got lots of perforation here for the fact that these front passenger and driver seats have three-stage heating and ventilation. So again, a lot of premium features on these seats as well. They're both power seats as well. They have this black suede inserts on the back of the seat as well as down here on the hips to kind of just keep you, in a good position while driving. Like I said, the red material even carries here to this center part of the console, and it's just it feels nice to the touch right in that center. Console has all the contrast stitching that comes back to the center armrest, which lifts up to reveal a pretty big storage area as well. Now, if we look dead forward, we're looking at the steering wheel, and it's a nice chunky steering wheel. Not overly chunky, it's like really a meaty steering wheel, but just, a really good size to it. It's a leather material. There are some perforations here on the side. It is flat bottom, being the A-Spec, and it has red contrast stitching all around. Really easy to use ergonomically. You have all of your volume and track controls on the left, all of your ADAS and safety controls on the right. There's two huge paddle shifters back here, minus on the left, plus on the right. And these are actually real metal, no plastic here. These feel really nice to the touch. Also, being this top trim, you actually have a heated steering wheel built in as well. And it's down here in the center of the center spoke. You also get A-Spec badging and this huge Acura caliper here on this premium airbag cover. So a really nice steering wheel here on the ADX. But let's start talking about some of the technology in ADX. So in front, all of them come standard with a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster that's customizable. The gauge layout, colors will change. If you turn on the active cruise control, a little ADX will pop up. It'll show you what vehicles are around, and it highlights your, lane keeping assist. All your functions are right there, so that's really premium and looks really good. It can even display album artwork, basic map navigation directions, and things like that as well. Here in the center console area, you actually have a 9-inch color touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. But not just that, the ADX comes with Google built in. And if you've watched my reviews and seen a lot of the videos here on Drive Culture, you might already know what Google built in is. But just to give you the high level download, essentially it's 3 apps, right? So you have Google Maps built in as the native map system. You don't need your phone, you don't need Android Auto. The car has Google Maps built in. It also has the Google Assistant built in, but it's not just, hey, Google, turn up the volume. It's integrated into the vehicle so you can tell to say something like, hey, Google, turn on the passenger ventilated seats. It can actually do that level of detail. It can control HVAC and climate controls as well. And then lastly, it's the Google Play Store. Now, that's the cool one here because you can actually go in and download new apps and new functionality into your car. And not everybody knows this, but as you download and update some of those apps, you got to do it in park. You can't do it while you're driving and in motion. And also for some of the video apps, you can actually, while the car's parked, actually watch videos here in the car, like using Wi-Fi. You get complimentary Wi-Fi for the first 3 years of the vehicle as part of the Google built-in package. So you can literally be streaming stuff here on your 9-inch color touchscreen. So that is a very nice feature. As we make our way down the center console, you have this nice premium design for the vents, very nice and tactile feeling controls. Same here for the actual climate controls as well. Everything has a nice like kind of clicky function to it as you turn the knobs. Very easy to use buttons and readouts, and all of the buttons as well to control the heated and ventilated seats. As you make your way further down in this pocket area here, you get 2 USB-C charge ports, one for data plugging in and one purely for charging. Next to that, you get a 12-volt socket as well as a flat wireless charging pad. And I like the design because there's a high wall on both sides so your phone's not sliding around while it's laying down and charging. Making your way a little bit back, you have one cup holder here and a little pocket that's really the perfect size for the key fob for this vehicle. So you could just stuff it down there. As you come to the gear selector, it's a mechanical gear selector. It feels really nice though. Premium leather material, contrast stitching. All of your drive mode controls are here off to the left, as well as your idle stop off, hill descent control, electronic parking brake and brake hold as well. But really the nice thing is this material here. It's a black, kind of piano black finish with a chrome accent, but part of it has a texture to it. And you'll find that here on the doors and the center console. And it feels really nice to the touch, but also just looks really premium as well. As you make your way further back, you have another cup holder here. So they're kind of staggered, right? They're not side by side like you might traditionally find. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about a couple other really premium features here in ADX. So one, you have a full opening panoramic moonroof. So it has a power shade, which matches the interior, which is a black headliner here. Looks really premium, keeps the sun out while it's closed. I have it closed right now, but with the push of a button, it'll slide all the way open, all the way past the back seats. The glass roof can also tilt and completely open pretty far back, right? It almost feels like you're driving like a convertible, right? It really goes far back. So that's a great feature. But lastly, and you guys know me, I love music, right? I'm an audiophile. So you can't ignore the 15 speaker Bang& Olufsen premium sound system here in the ADX. It has the awesome tweeters up here and the A-pillars with the Bang & Olufsen branding. Looks really premium. You get Bang & Olufsen speakers and the branding here in the doors and some larger speakers down at the bottom of the door as well. So lots of premium touch points throughout, lots of great tech and features throughout. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the rear. All right, guys, here we are in the rear of the Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. And you wouldn't think it, right? Because it's kind of a smaller SUV, but there's a lot of space back here. As always, I'll say I'm 5'10", and man, I have lots of space. This is maybe even a little bit further back than I would have in my normal driving position, but even still, man, I've got several inches of knee room here. No problem putting my feet under the seat. Tons of headroom despite this, big panoramic moonroof. Lots of room across the way. Truly a 5-passenger vehicle. There's a slight hump in the floor, but not much. It's almost flat. And then even this center seat here is slightly recessed to give them a little bit more space out back. As always, as a reference, I have this booster seat back here to kind of show you how much space your kids might have. But to be honest, even if you had one of those big rear-facing car seats, you could easily fit that in. And the latches are easy to access too. That's a pretty important point for you parents out there. This seat on the passenger side, to be fair, is also pushed pretty far back. So you could slide that forward and still keep the front passenger comfortable and give you a little bit more space back here as well. A lot of the premium touch points that I talked about in the front carry over to the rear. You do get, more speakers for that Bang & Olufsen sound system. I forgot to mention the fact that there's also two up front in the headliner as well. But that leather material, the contrast stitching is here on the doors. The seats get the same nice material, including that suede surfacing, even though they're here in the second row. You do get one matte pocket back here, and you have some ventilation back here. You don't get a full ability to control the climate, but you do have vents back here, and you do get two USB-C charge ports, both for charging only. So, I mean, if you think about it, right, this is a small 5-passenger vehicle, but literally every passenger in the car could be charging their own singular device because you got two USB-Cs up front, the wireless charge pad, and then two more USB-Cs back here as well. Lastly, I'll call out, you do have a center armrest that folds down nicely. It looks and feels premium, and it's very soft to the touch. So I think we've covered everything here in the second row. So next, let's go ahead and hop out to check out the cargo area. All right, guys, here we are with the cargo area of this Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. And like a lot of these small, SUVs, there's lots of ways to open the power tailgate. There's a button inside, button on the key fob, but of course you can always just pull here on the handle and it lifts right up. And so once we're inside, you can see there's actually a good amount of space back here. It's a nice carpeted material. You even have this built-in cargo cover as well. And what's nice is just with a little bit of a pull on both of these sides, you can actually remove this if you needed to truly use all of the space available. And speaking of space, with the 60/40 rear folding rear seats up, there's actually 24.4 cubic feet of space back here. But if you were to fold those completely flat and down, that actually jumps to 55.1 cubic feet of space. So there's a lot of space in this small SUV, guys. No problem doing your Costco runs and just kind of everyday living, or even trying to fit something big if you push those seats down. So if you look underneath, there's even a little bit of underfloor storage that's not counted in those specs. It's kind of a nice foam area here with some divided pockets. If you pull it back one more, you can actually see that there's a jack and a kit, because if you lift this up, yes, that's right, there's actually a spare tire back here. I know that's not always the case these days, but sure enough, there's a spare tire, and you get the jack and all the equipment back here as well. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, guys, here we are with the powertrain of this Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. And the reality is, no matter which ADX trim you go with, it's always going to have the same engine and transmission. Now, as far as drivetrain, yes, you can get a front-wheel drive, a two-wheel drive ADX as standard, and you got to pony up extra to get that all-wheel drive. And like I said, because this is the top trim, it does include that all-wheel drive system. But let's go back to this engine. So this is a derivative of the engine that's in the Integra, and let's talk about the specs here. So in the ADX, it's a 1.5 liter VTEC turbo 4-cylinder engine that makes 190 horsepower and 179 foot-pounds of torque. It's made it exclusively to a CVT transmission, and like I said, you can either go with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive for the drivetrain. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, here we are inside the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. We're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So foot on the brake, hit the engine start-stop button. Starts right up. You get a little bit of animations in the digital instrument cluster there. It's not bad. Go ahead and put my seatbelt on. And as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, kind of a pro tip is in these newer vehicles from Honda and Acura that have the electronic parking brake and the brake hold function, once you've got your seatbelt on, all you have to do is put the vehicle into drive and then just lightly tap the gas, and it'll automatically release the electronic parking brake. You don't have to, pull or push to, disengage it. It just automatically does it. So that's a nice feature. So we're gonna go ahead and set out here, and like always, we'll, switch to the different drive modes. So in the ADX, there's this little toggle switch here next to the mechanical shifter, and it cycles through the drive mode. So we'll start in comfort mode, which is kind of like city, low speed parking lot style scenario. So it gives you kind of blue rings around the speedometer and the RPM gauge. Gives you a little animation here in the center display as well. But we'll go ahead and drive in comfort for a bit here to see how it does. So one of the things about the ADX is it actually is really good MVH. It's pretty quiet in here. Obviously, if it's a really windy day or you get to highway speeds, you get a little bit more wind noise, but for the most part, it's actually pretty good. You don't get a ton of it. I mean, it's windy today, so I hear just a little bit of wind noise from the front glass, but for the most part, it's pretty quiet. Now, the other thing is the different drive modes. We'll change things like the steering feel, make it heavier or lighter.
They'll change also, you know, the kind of throttle response, make it, you know, a little bit more sharper on some of the, you know, more aggressive modes. And it'll also change even just kind of the engine note or the engine sound that's kind of, you know, coming into the vehicle. So one of the other things is you can disable the engine start-stop function. So it actually turned off right now, so it gives you a little green symbol to let you know that the engine's turned off. All you'd have to do is either wait for it to turn it back on or just give it a little bit of gas to automatically turn it on. Otherwise, every single time, you're gonna have to push this separate button down here to turn it off. So I'll go ahead and push it. That basically, you know, turned off idle stop. Now, we're going to talk about the individual mode here in a second that lets you kind of customize everything. There is a way within individual mode that you also disable the idle stop. However, again, the individual mode doesn't stay on between the cycles, right? So if you turn off the car and turn it back on, it doesn't leave it in individual mode. If it did that, technically you could just, you know, cancel out the idle stop. But the fact that no matter what, every time you get back in, you have to push this individual mode to get that functionality means that you can't, you know, permanently get rid of the idle stop function. And I know some people it bothers a lot, some people less so. So it just kind of depends on where your feelings are on idle stop. So as I mentioned during the interior, one of the nice things is once you have the active cruise control engaged on the ADX, it does show a little car here in the center. But what's nice is it shows whether you have like your brake lamps are engaged. Right now with the turn signal flashing, the car's, you know, little icon is actually flashing as well. If the headlights were on, it would be projecting that image as well. So there's a lot of functionality just tied to that little vehicle because it kind of lets you know, you know, what's happening with the car as far as the lighting, the turn signals, and things like that. So here we are. We're going to finally be able to get the set off a little bit here, and you know, just try the different drive modes. So I'm in comfort. Here we go. So, not bad, pretty quiet. There's not a lot of, you know, road noise, a little bit of wind noise, but that's about it. Pretty good acceleration, got up to 50 miles an hour pretty quick, and that wasn't with a lot of, you know, throttle input. So here we are, we're gonna go down the same route that we always do. We'll go over these kind of aggressive train tracks and speed bumps and see how the chassis and the suspension handle that as well. So comfort seems pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and switch into normal. And when I do that, I mean, I didn't change my throttle input, but all of a sudden the car kind of got a little bit faster, kind of a little bit more sharper just by going into normal. And also I can feel just by doing that, there's a little bit more heft to the overall weight of the steering as well. So this is kind of the default setting and feels pretty good to me. So here's the first train track. We're going to just go over this 35 miles an hour. That was really good, no complaints there. This second one is always a little bit more aggressive, so we'll go over around the same speed, 35 miles an hour. Go ahead and try that out. It's coming up here. This one is a little bit more aggressive, and some of the lower cars, it definitely has some undulation. So here we go. Now, that was actually really good. Really nothing into the cabin itself. A little bit of noise, a little bit of creaks and stuff like that, but for the most part, yeah, it didn't upset the chassis or the suspension at all. So what I'll do now is actually turn it up into sport mode, so one more push. And again, just by doing that, same throttle input, but all of a sudden the RPM shot up, and all of a sudden the car just, it feels a lot more sporty. And then there, even with just partial throttle, it kind of revs up the engine and, you know, gives you a little bit more sound. So sport mode, it definitely changes. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set out here. One other thing to point out is on this mechanical shifter is you do have D at where I'm driving right now, but if you pull it back, there's an S. And so if I do that, what that does is it'll essentially do a manual shifting capability. So when you're in the D, it'll always kind of like try to revert back to drive, but in the S, which shows up in the digital instrument cluster now it's going to always try to like hold the gears, the simulated gears. So here we are, SM1, it automatically upshifted, SM2, 3, there's 16, and back off. So it's not that slow. There's a lot of people saying that this car is slow or that, you know, the 1.5 liter is not enough. It's not slow. You do have to be in sport mode. You do want to be in the S for the transmission, and ideally, you know, even in the manual mode, even though the computer is going to essentially upshift for you, for the most part, it definitely helps with the acceleration. So even now, there's like second gear, just like up to red line, and then even up through like third. And then here, you know, the simulated shifts are fun, right? It's obviously not a conventional automatic, but definitely gives a little bit more excitement to the drive. And I feel like, man, once it passes 4,000, this thing actually gets up, and again, 460, I back off. It gets up, right? Again, it's an A-Spec. It's not a Type S. There is no Type S. You know, it's not really meant to be this barn burner, you know, kind of sports car, but I think you have to be sure that you're in the sporty drive modes with the sport transmission setting. And again, I feel like having the gear selected makes a difference. So here first, yeah, I mean, the torque, you know, it's 179 foot-pounds of torque, but again, being the small downsized, you know, turbo engine, it can build up pretty quickly. And as long as you're in the meat of the torque band between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM, it actually gets up pretty quick. It does. It goes good. So the last thing we'll check out here before we wrap things up is let's talk about the brakes and handling. So here, I'm going to come into a pretty aggressive turn, go into the second gear. Turning is good. You know, with the sport, it definitely gets heavier. It feels really good. And then now I'll also even try the brakes out. Nice little stab. And again, you can, you know, basically gear select your way down to kind of do like some almost engine braking essentially. So no, that feels really good. Car behaves really good over the you know, train tracks that we went over. We actually have one more to go over here too, so might as well do that. Man, no problem. So very quiet in the cabin, great suspension, pretty good brakes, and good acceleration if you're in the right drive mode. So overall, again, I think this is a really good sport compact, but let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Let me know if you want to see more competitors, more trims of ADX here on the channel. I'm happy to bring it to you. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this drive review.
All right, guys, that is a wrap. What did you think of the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance? Is this the best subcompact SUV on the market in that luxury segment? Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Let me know if you want to see other trims of the ADX, because of course I'm happy to bring it to you. And also let me know if you want to see some other competitors from, you know, the European brands or even some of the Korean brands and other products that are out there in the market today. So if you joined us before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.